Welcome to part 1 of the 4-part info series detailing the historical account of the ancient Egyptians, a civilization that has captivated the imagination of the world for centuries. From the majestic pyramids that pierce the horizon of Giza to the intricate hieroglyphs that adorn the walls of tombs and temples, this series will take you on a journey back in time to explore the rich history of life along the Nile. Join us as we uncover the secrets of the pharaohs, the daily lives of the people. A journey into the heart of one of history's most magnificent civilizations. Born from the fertile banks of the Nile River over 5,000 years ago, ancient Egypt rose to become a beacon of architectural, cultural, and scientific achievements that continue to fascinate the world. Prepare to be transported to the land of the Nile, where civilization began, and a legacy was forged in stone and gold.
Origins of ancient Egypt. Our story begins around 3100 BCE, with the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under the first pharaoh Narmer. Our understanding of Narmer and his achievements comes from a variety of archaeological sources, but none as compelling as the Narmer palette. On one side, he is shown wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt as he smites his enemies. On the reverse, he dons the red crown of Lower Egypt, celebrating his dominion over the entire land. Scholars believe that Narmer's conquest was both a military and a political achievement, signalling the dawn of the dynastic period. Under his rule, the foundations were laid for Egypt's future prosperity, including the establishment of Memphis as the capital, a city that would remain a cultural and political centre for thousands of years. This pivotal moment marked the beginning of a civilization that would thrive for over 3 millennia. But who were the early Egyptians, and how did their unique geography shape their destiny?
Daily life and society. The lifeblood of Egypt, the Nile River, provided not only sustenance but also the means for a complex society to flourish. The Nile's banks were lined with dense papyrus reeds, a plant that was essential to ancient Egyptian life. But the papyrus thickets were more than just a resource for making paper and boats. They were a habitat for a diverse array of wildlife. Among the reeds lurked the Nile crocodile, a formidable predator, alongside the more graceful and elusive hippopotamus. The Nile crocodile and the hippopotamus were revered and feared in equal measure by the ancient Egyptians. They played significant roles in the culture's mythology and were considered both protectors and threats to the river's bounty.
The Nile teemed with fish, providing a crucial protein source for the ancient Egyptians. Tilapia, catfish, and the Nile perch swam in its waters, caught with nets and hooks by skilled fishermen. The river's surface was aflutter with bird life, including ducks, geese, and the sacred ibis, hunted with throw sticks and bows for food and ritual purposes.
But the Nile's gifts were not limited to its waters. Each year, the river flooded its banks, depositing rich silt that fertilized the land. This annual inundation made the surrounding floodplains incredibly fertile, allowing the Egyptians to cultivate wheat, barley, and flax, staples of their diet that fed a growing civilization. The ancient Egyptians developed sophisticated irrigation techniques to control the floodwaters, creating canals and basins that ensured crops could thrive even in times of drought. Onions, garlic, lentils, and a variety of fruits and vegetables were grown, enriching the diet of the common people and the nobility alike.
The Nile River was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt, a source of sustenance, transportation, and spiritual inspiration. Its abundant wildlife and fertile land supported a civilization that would leave an indelible mark on human history. The relationship between the Nile and those who lived along its banks is a testimony to the ingenuity and resilience of the ancient Egyptians, who harnessed the river's gifts to build a legacy that endures to this day.
Beyond farming, Egyptians were skilled artisans, traders, and engineers, creating a society rich in diversity and innovation. The artisans of ancient Egypt were masters of their crafts, working with a precision and passion that breathed life into stone, metal, and clay. In workshops filled with a din of hammer and chisel, they created statues of gods and pharaohs, jewelry of exquisite beauty, and painted tomb walls with scenes of daily life and the afterlife, ensuring their art would endure for millennia.
The traders of ancient Egypt were the lifeblood of its economy, navigating the Nile and beyond to exchange goods with distant lands. They brought back gold from Nubia, cedar wood from Lebanon, and incense from Punt, enriching Egyptian society with a diversity of goods. Their voyages were not only commercial, but also diplomatic missions, securing alliances and expanding Egypt's influence across the ancient world.
But perhaps the most widely recognized legacy of ancient Egypt lies in the work of its engineers and architects. It is not entirely known what tools and technologies the ancient Egyptians may have had at their disposal. But with an unparalleled understanding of mathematics and astronomy, they constructed monuments that defy time. The pyramids, a testament to their genius, were engineered with such precision that they align with celestial bodies, serving as eternal tombs for the pharaohs and a symbol of the civilization's architectural prowess. The artisans, traders, and engineers were more than just workers. They were the backbone of ancient Egyptian society. Their skills and knowledge were passed down through generations, ensuring that each new wave of craftsmen and innovators built upon the legacy of their predecessors. Their contributions went beyond the material, shaping the cultural and spiritual identity of ancient Egypt.
The tools of these ancient professionals may have been simple, but their knowledge and techniques were anything but. Artisans utilized natural pigments and minerals to create vivid artworks that have retained their color for thousands of years. Traders navigated the Nile and the open seas, with ships built from planks of wood lashed together, relying on the stars to guide their way. Engineers crafted complex irrigation systems, turning the desert into fertile land, and constructed monumental buildings that were as much feats of engineering as they were of artistry.
As we walk through the ruins of temples and tombs, stand in awe before the pyramids, or marvel at the beauty of ancient jewelry, we are witnessing the legacy of Egypt's skilled artisans, traders, and engineers. Their work not only defined the zenith of ancient Egyptian civilization, but also continues to inspire and astonish us thousands of years later. Diet and cuisine. The Nile's bounty provided a diet rich in grains, vegetables, and fruits. Fish from the Nile, along with poultry and beef, were staples for those who could afford them. Beer and bread were the cornerstones of every meal, consumed by both the rich and the poor.
Grains were the lifeblood of ancient Egyptian society, with barley and emmer wheat being the most important. These grains were not only consumed as food, but also played a crucial role in the production of beer and bread, staples in the ancient Egyptian diet. The fertile silt deposited by the annual Nile flood provided the perfect conditions for growing these crops, ensuring a steady supply. Bread was a daily staple, made from emmer wheat. The ancient Egyptians were skilled bakers, producing a variety of breads flavored with fruits, honey, and herbs. This bread was not just a source of sustenance, but also a key part of offerings to the gods and the deceased.
Beer was the drink of choice for ancient Egyptians, consumed by adults and children alike. Made from barley, this beer was nutritious, though likely quite different in taste and strength from what we are accustomed to today. It was a vital part of social and religious ceremonies, symbolizing both pleasure and divine offering. The diet of the ancient Egyptians was enriched by a variety of vegetables and fruits. Onions, garlic, leeks, and cucumbers were kitchen staples, while figs, dates, and grapes sweetened their meals. The Nile's bounty was further evident in the pomegranates, melons, and persea that graced their tables, providing vital nutrients and flavors.
The Nile River was a rich source of fish, an important protein source for those living along its banks. Meanwhile, domesticated animals such as cattle, pigs, and goats were reared for meat. Although such luxuries were often reserved for the wealthier classes. Poultry, including ducks and geese, were also common, rounding out a diet that was both varied and nutritious.
The ancient Egyptian diet was more than just sustenance. It was deeply intertwined with their culture, religion, and economy. Feasts and banquets were common in the lives of the affluent, showcasing the abundance of the Nile. While everyday meals reflected the agricultural calendar and the rhythm of the seasons.
The ancient Egyptians crafted a diet that sustained not just their bodies but their society, fueling the laborers who built the pyramids, the craftsmen who decorated the tombs, and the priests who performed the rituals. In the grains they harvested, the beer they brewed, and the meals they shared, we find a profound connection to the land and the river that gave life to their civilization.
This concludes part 1 of the 4-part info series. Stay tuned for episode 2, where we look at some of the most iconic and famous pharaohs of the ancient Egyptian world. What did they do, build, and conquer? What was life like for an ancient Egyptian leader who was seen as a god? The relationships and rivalries of those ordained by the divine to rule the most advanced empire of the time, spanning over 3,000 years. Thanks for watching and take care.